I drove 11 hours with my 2 babies asleep in the back seat. I carried my 5-year-old daughter up those farmhouse steps in Tennessee. And my own aunt stepped into that doorway. Looked me dead in the eye. In front of the entire family. And said, "Who invited you? This is for real family." My mother was standing right behind her. And she said, "Absolutely, nothing." But what happened 48 hours later? Every single person on that porch was calling my phone, begging me to come back. Stay with me. Because this story is about to get so much deeper than one cruel afternoon on a porch. My name is Savannah Morris. I am 34 years old. I am a paralegal. And my job has taught me one thing above everything else. When 2 stories do not match, you stop arguing about feelings, and you go find the paper. Oh my God. I had no idea how much I was going to need that skill on this particular weekend. It started with a card. A plain white envelope that arrived at my apartment in Missouri in March. My grandmother Rose's handwriting on the front. Looping in careful and warm. The way she writes when she means every single word. Come home for the reunion, baby. The whole family will be there. I stood in my kitchen and I cried. Because I had not been invited to a single family gathering in almost 2 years. People think 11 hours is too far to drive for a porch and a potato salad. Those people have never been cut out of the only family they had. I packed the car the night before. Mason, my 8-year-old, brought his fishing pole because Grandma Rose's farm had a pond. Lily, my 5-year-old, carried a drawing she had made herself. A crayon picture of the farmhouse. She had written at the bottom in her careful letters. For great-grandma in the country. Oh. That drawing. I still cannot think about it without my chest tightening. We left before sunrise. 80 acres of red Tennessee clay. Pecan trees in long rows. A screen door that always slapped twice when you walked through it. I had worked that land every single summer growing up. Every summer until I left at 19 and spent the next 15 years feeling guilty about it. After my divorce I made myself one rule. I lived by it like scripture. Never begged to be wanted. So when my mother Linda stopped returning my calls, I stopped calling. When the letters I sent went unanswered, I told myself families drift. I told myself she was busy. I was so wrong about why. By the time we crossed into Harlow County the kids were awake and bouncing. Mason pressed his face to the window. Lily held her drawing flat on her lap so it would not wrinkle. We are almost home, I told them. Oh my God. I had no idea I was driving us straight into the worst hour of my life. Because what was waiting for me at the top of those farmhouse steps was not a welcome. It was a door. A door that someone had spent 2 years, carefully, quietly, building. Specifically to keep me out. And behind that door? A secret so dark it would shake this entire family to its foundation. Keep listening. The gate was the same cattle panel and chain my grandfather welded back in the 90s. I worked it from memory. My fingers knew the cold metal before my eyes did. The lane was lined with cars. Trucks with mud flaps. A minivan. And one shiny black SUV that did not belong to anyone who worked for a living. Oh. I noticed that SUV. I just did not understand it yet. There were people on that porch I had not seen since I was a girl. The smell of cut hay rolled across the field like a hand on the back of my neck. Mason pressed his face to the window. Is that the pond, Mom? It was. I told him we would fish it before dark. I parked behind the SUV. Sat for 1 second. Told my heart to behave. Then I saw Aunt Diane come out onto the porch and shade her eyes against the sun. Even from the car I could read her face. It was not the face you make when someone you love comes home after a long time gone. It was the face you make when a problem pulls into your driveway. I waved anyway. Old habit. She did not wave back. She said something over her shoulder to someone inside. A few heads turned my way, then quickly turned back. The way people do when they have already decided how a thing is going to go. I unbuckled the kids. I told myself I was imagining things. I have learned since then to trust my gut the first time. Not the third time my hope talks me out of it. We came up the walk holding hands. The three of us. And the talking on that porch went quiet in stages. Like someone turning down a volume dial one click at a time. Aunt Diane came down 2 steps to meet us. I mistook it for welcome. She is 56. My mother's older sister. She has a way of folding her arms that makes her look exactly like a closed door. She did not hug me. She looked at my children. Then at me. And she said it loud enough for every single person on that porch to hear. Who invited you? This is for real family. Oh my God. For one full second I thought I had misheard. I actually laughed. A small confused sound. Mason's hand tightened in mine. And Lily, my 5-year-old baby girl, looked up at me with those wide eyes and asked in that clear little voice that carries across every kind of silence. Are we not allowed, Mommy? 20 faces watching. Cousins. A great uncle. A woman I did not recognize standing by the black SUV holding a tablet. A young man beside her smiling at his phone. And there, just inside the screen door, was my mother. Linda Morris. 53 years old. The woman who taught me to drive. Who braided my hair for picture day. Who used to say you are my best thing Savannah when she tucked me in at night. She had her hand on the door frame. And her eyes were on the floor. Oh my God. I waited for her. I gave her every single second of that silence to step forward. To say, Carol, that is my daughter. To say stop. She did not. My mother opened her mouth. I watched her gather the breath. I watched her let it go. And then she said the words I will carry to my own grave. Don't make a scene, honey. Not, don't treat my daughter like a stranger. Not. Carol, stop. Just, don't make a scene. As if I were the disturbance. As if my children standing on the steps of the house I grew up in were a noise to be managed. Oh. Something inside me went very quiet. I have stood in courtrooms. I know exactly what it costs to lose your composure in front of witnesses. So I did not give Aunt Diane the fight she was hungry for. I did not give my mother the breakdown she was bracing for. I knelt down to Lily's level. Because she was starting to understand that something was wrong. And a 5-year-old should not have to understand that. Hey baby. Change of plans. We are going to go have our own adventure. I used my thunderstorm voice. My doctor's office voice. Mason was 8. Old enough to know. His jaw was set exactly like mine gets. His eyes were bright. And he did not cry. That nearly broke me more than anything Diane said. I stood up straight. I took my children's hands. And I turned around and walked them back down those steps without looking back once. My hands did not shake until I had the car door closed. I could have driven home. 11 hours back to Missouri. Told myself families are complicated. Cried in the parking lot of a gas station and moved on. That is what they expected me to do. But here is what they did not know about me. I had spent 11 years reading documents people wished I never found. And something about that black SUV, that woman with the tablet, that man measuring the fields with his eyes. Something told me this was not just about a family reunion. Something much darker was happening to my grandmother. And I was the only person who could stop it. I drove into Harlow. 3 miles. Population 4,000 and something. The Harlow Inn had 9 rooms and a vending machine that ate my dollar. I got us a room with 2 beds. Gas station sandwiches. Orange crackers Mason loves. A movie on my laptop. Once they were settled, I sat on the edge of the bathtub with the fan running so they could not hear me. And I let myself feel it. For exactly the length of one shower worth of running water. Then I turned the water off and got to work. Because here is what I kept circling back to. Aunt Diane said Grandma Rose was resting. Said she did not want noise. Said she was too tired for visitors. But Grandma Rose had written me a card in March. In her own handwriting. Asking me to come. Both of those things could not be true. One of them was a lie. And the lie was the more recent one. The one standing in the doorway with her arms folded. I opened my notebook and wrote the date at the top. I wrote down exactly what Diane said. Word for word. The time she said it. The witnesses who were standing there. 11 years of paralegal training kicking in. Then I sat very still and I tried to think of one single way to reach my grandmother that did not run through Diane. And slowly, like a name on the tip of your tongue, I remembered something I had done 2 years ago. When my letters to the farm started coming back. When every time I called the house Diane answered and said Grandma was resting. I had done one small quiet hopeful thing. I bought a prepaid phone. The cheap kind. And I mailed it to Grandma Rose's church friend with a note. Please slip this to Rose privately. For emergencies. Just us. She had texted me once. Months ago. Slow careful capital letters. Thank you baby. I love you. And then nothing. And I had let the silence convince me she had lost interest. Oh my God. How wrong I was. I scrolled to that number now. My thumb hovered. Some old tired voice inside me whispered, "You are making a scene, Savannah. You are being dramatic. Good daughters do not go around their families." That voice has cost me so much over the years. It sounds exactly like my mother. I thought about Diane on that porch. Arms folded. Eyes cold. I thought about Lily asking if we were allowed. And I pressed call. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. I started building the version of the night where no one answered. Then there was a small fumbling sound. A breath. And a voice I had not heard in 2 years said my name like a prayer. Savannah baby, is that you? Ah. I had braced for a lot of things that night. I had not braced for how strong she sounded. Not frail. Not confused. Not the woman Diane had been describing for 2 years. My grandmother's voice came down that line clear and quick and completely herself. Oh my God. And that was the very first crack in everything I had been told. Grandma, I said. And my voice broke on it. Where are you? She asked. They told me you could not make the drive. Diane said your work would not let you off. I sat down on the floor of that motel bathroom. Grandma. I am in Harlow. I am 3 miles away. I drove down for the reunion. I was just at the farm an hour ago. Silence on her end. Not a foggy silence. The silence of a sharp woman doing math she does not like the answer to. You are here, she said slowly. At the house. I came up the steps with the kids. Diane met me at the door. I made myself say the rest. She told me it was for real family. She said you were resting and did not want to see us. My grandmother made a sound I had never heard her make before. Low. Wounded. And underneath it. Angry. I have been sitting in my bedroom all afternoon, she said. Because Diane told me the noise would tire me out. I asked 3 times if you had called. She said no. Oh. The words went around in my head. Who invited you? This is for real family. And for the first time they did not just sound cruel. They sounded calculated. Rehearsed. Like a door someone had built, specifically, to keep one person out. Grandma, I said carefully. How long have you thought I stopped writing to you? You did stop writing, she said. The confusion in it would have been almost funny if it were not a knife sliding between my ribs. Diane said you had moved on with your own life. Said you did not want the old folks dragging on you. I closed my eyes. Grandma. I have written you every single month for 2 years. Birthday cards. Pictures of the kids. A letter when Mason lost his first tooth. Quiet on the line. I never got them, she said. Not one. Oh my God. There it was. 2 lies that fit together like a hinge. She thought I had abandoned her. I thought she had abandoned me. And in the space between us, someone had been very, very busy. But that phone call was just the beginning. Because what my grandmother said next. About papers she had been made to sign. About a man measuring the fields. About 80 acres of land that had been in our family for 60 years. That is when I realized. This was never about a family reunion. This was about stealing everything my grandfather ever built. And I had driven 11 hours. With my paralegal brain. And 11 years of finding hidden things. At exactly the right moment to stop it. Baby, Grandma Rose said. Her voice dropped low. Careful. Like the walls might carry it. Diane has been having me sign things. Oh my God. After her hip surgery there were papers. Hospital bills, she said. Then papers about managing the farm. Diane kept saying the farm was too much to keep. That at her age she should not worry about 80 acres. My paralegal brain went cold and clear. The way it does right before everything gets worse. A man came last week, Grandma said. He measured the fields. There was a woman with him taking pictures of the house. The black SUV. The tablet. The woman looking at the porch like a listing. Grandma, I said. Keeping my voice level so she could not hear my heart slamming against my ribs. Is everyone gone by 9? They go home by 9, she said. It is just me and Mrs. Dorothy at night. Then I am coming back. Tonight. The back way. With the kids. She told me how. Past the equipment shed. Around to the kitchen porch. The door her own mother used for the milk deliveries 60 years ago. Mrs. Dorothy, the home health aide, would be the only one there. And Mrs. Dorothy, she promised, was on our side. She's the one who charges my little phone for me, Grandma whispered. The prepaid phone. The church friend. Mrs. Dorothy. 2 years ago I had sent that phone into the dark, not knowing if it would ever reach the right hands. Oh my God. It had reached exactly the right hands. We waited out the long Tennessee dusk. I used every minute the way my training taught me. I wrote everything down. The papers. The surgery. The man measuring. The woman with the camera. I did not have proof yet. But I knew the shape of the thing now. The way you know a storm by the green color of the sky before the first drop falls. At 8:45 my phone lit up. They are gone. Come now. Kitchen door is open. I woke Lily gently. We drove back to the farm in the dark. The house was dark except for one warm yellow square at the back. The kitchen window. Like a candle left burning in a tower. I parked behind the equipment shed where the car would not be seen from the road. We crossed the yard quiet as deer. The kitchen door opened before I touched it. Mrs. Dorothy. 60s. Gray hair pinned up. Eyes quick and kind. She gripped my arm hard the moment I stepped inside. Like she had been waiting a long time to grip somebody's arm. She is sharp as a tack, she said low and fierce. Whatever anybody tells you later, you remember a witness told you that to your face. There is nothing wrong with that woman's mind. And then we stepped into the kitchen. And there was Grandma Rose. Smaller than I remembered. Straighter than I feared. Hands folded on the oilcloth tablecloth. When she saw the kids she made a sound. Low and wounded, and then underneath it a laugh. Lily marched straight up to her. Held out the crumpled drawing. "I made you the country grandma," she announced. "Oh." Mason hung back. Until Grandma held out her arm. And then he was not too old for anything anymore. I stood by the door and let them have that minute. Because I had driven 11 hours. Lost a Porch. And found this instead. Then Grandma Rose looked at me over the children's heads. And the softness in her face shifted into something else entirely. "Now," she said quietly. "There is a drawer in your grandfather's desk I need you to open. 80 acres. 60 years of family history. A grandmother who had been isolated, manipulated, and slowly, quietly, cornered. And in that drawer were documents that were about to blow this entire family apart. Ah! What Savannah found in that desk. What Aunt Diane had been doing for 18 months behind everyone's backs. And how one paralegal with a notebook and 11 years of training brought it all crashing down. That is a story that will leave you absolutely speechless. Subscribe. And do not go anywhere. Because the best part is just getting started.